That's right, baby. We're back. Now, this is something I'm going to start doing. I'm going to call it like the trading recap or trading overview, whatever I want to call it. But I've actually been doing these as like my personal trading journal. Now, I want to start doing them and just posting them on the channel. So, if there's anybody who, used to watch my videos, I used to trade meme coins specifically. Now I've catered into trading the majors as well as I still trade meme coins. But the meme coin market's a little bit weird and it hasn't been as sustainable as it once was. And I've been finding a lot of, let's say, recent success trading the majors in terms of just ETH, Hype, Sol. These are the main three pairs that I've been trading. Boom, boom, boom. Now, I'm passing a funded account right now. So this is the journey that I'm on right now. And essentially, I just wanted to start to make these videos. They're going to be unedited, raw, just, you feel me, straight just me and the camera, um, of just going over my trades, going over where I was mentally, documenting everything that I've kind of been through. And this might be a long one because we have made a lot of trades since since I did even the last trading recap that I did. So now this was a recent trade that I made, and this profited me around $300, I think. Let me pull up the P&Ls on my cellular here. I have my trading account on here. Um, so I'm kind of just gonna go through and then kind of document the trades that I've made and kind of just do a recap. So I hope y'all are well today. It is August 26th as the time of me recording this video. And yeah, man, like I said, I've been trading on the funded account. Now, boom. This was this trade. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let's see. Boom. Plus 280. Right there. And that was just this ETH long that I took. Now, what could I have done differently? So the stop loss was perfect. I barely faced any drawdown. And I entered around here. Now, my thesis for the reason why I hopped in this trade was I saw that we were in a downtrend. So the way I trade, you'll start to learn the more you watch these videos, is I kind of just trade trends. So boom, you notice how the trend is moving downward here. So boom, we topped out, we put in a lower high, put in a lower low, and then continued with that trend. So here, boom, boom. And every time breaking that, we're continuing that trend. If that makes sense. And that's how I look at these kind of things. Until boom, we break that trend. So we broke that trend right here, and we closed below, above this high, and that's what I'm looking for a long now. So I also use fair value gaps. So that's what these are. So if you go on the weekly time frame, you can see I have an indicator that automatically draws out the fair value gaps. But here you can see we have a gap, and essentially what I like to do for the high time frame gaps is I'll mark out the almost kind of like the range. So like the 50% range, 25%, 75%, so on. So just I'll section it out, and what you notice about like price is it interacts with these levels, and obviously there's overlapping fair value gaps. I'm not going to give you a lesson on ICT strategies. If you want to learn more about ICT concepts, kind of just you can Google them. There's so many different videos about them. Anyways, so this trade was pretty goddamn good, but I could have held it a little longer. ETH just printed an all-time high here, I believe. If we put it on a daily, we can see, yeah. So ETH hit an all-time high there, which I didn't really expect. But this move was really crazy, so I closed up here. I think I closed like at like 6 or like 5.99. I think it was. 4604. So I closed right before my final TP. And in hindsight, I could have held this up a little bit longer and I would have made a lot more profit. Would have caught another 7% gain. Because boom, so my strategy, right? I follow the trends. And I didn't technically follow my strategy here, which is why I'm a little bit like not mad at myself because like we made profit. But when I like the way I would describe my trading strategy would be I wait for trends to reverse or I follow the trend. So if I feel like the trend is getting exhausted, which this downtrend seemed like it was getting exhausted, it was going for like 5 days here, 5, 6 days. I saw that it turned. So it's super simple technical analysis that I'm using. So once we break through this like previous high, then we're in an uptrend. So I also have this indicator. You can look it up on TradingView. It's called the higher low strategy. So as you can see, we turn blue. So whenever we turn blue, this is when I look for longs. And I'm mainly a bull trader. Like I mainly kind of just trade longs. That's kind of just like how I work best. You might be different, who knows? But this is just how I trade. So the thing is, I could have kept holding, and the way that I determine that is like every time we break an all-time high, every time we break through a previous high rather, what you do, I'll move my stop loss below the previous swing low. So boom, right as we broke this high and we closed above here, this is where my stop loss goes. You feel me? Right under there. And then what I can do is take half profit. So what I should be doing instead of taking full, never taking full profit, what I should be doing is taking half profit. So what I notice here is boom, we create a kind of like local high, they like to call it. So like this kind of created a high. And then once we close above this, I kind of didn't make it straight. So we can do like a trend line. So once we close above that, this is exactly when I would move my stop loss below here. Boom. Now, the thing is, and I closed my trade right here, right? So like anything below this level means the trend is breaking again. So like once we break below, so like through technical analysis, we can understand that like once a low gets broken, so once this low gets like knocked out right here, that's how you know the trend flips, right? And then now, boom, we can see it the same way on the opposite direction. So like I like to do even this invert scale. Boom, notice how we knocked out this high. If I inverted the scale, so like imagine this is normal. So we knocked out this high. Boom. Now if we're in this trade, if we entered here, for example, then my stop loss would now be here. And then we wait for, imagine price broke this high, boom, stop loss goes here. And that's the strategy that I kind of use in order to catch moves. And ideally I like catching the move right as it starts or right before it starts, which is exactly what I did here. And there's little things that the market will tell you before it even happens. It's a weird kind of it sounds a little skits, but like I also notice how like inverse head and shoulders pattern being printed here. So boom, 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 right? And I love these type of patterns. You can see the same thing happening down here. It's a little bit more spread out, but it could be boom, 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 or on a wider time frame scale, you can even go like 4 hour. Where are we? Right here. You could even be boom, boom, boom. You feel me? And then what I also look for is engulfing candles. So I'll go on the daily, and whenever I see like this, for example, so I also entered. No, I didn't take this long. So I took this long here. I'll show you this setup as well. This was a while back. Let's go. Let's go back to March. I guess it's hard to see on here. But anyways, I made a similar P&L, I think 260 on this trade where I entered. You see this engulfing candle right here? Not only do we have this one, which is very bullish, what engulfing meaning when this red candle gets absolutely fucking devoured by the green candle. Let me make sure I'm still okay. I'm still recording. That is really bullish to me. So I see that as a buy signal. So boom, right as this happened, right as this closed, I entered long right here. And I'm targeting this weekly fair value gap that was actually here. So we've already filled it since then. We've actually already filled the gap that I was targeting, which was this one. But essentially what I'm trying to say is that I took this long, stop loss below here, and it was a beautiful trade. I faced some drawdown for a little bit. I think I entered, sorry. I think I entered like here. So I went through some drawdown, but eventually the trade popped, and then ETH. This is when ETH really started to establish its dominance. And what you always want to be looking at in crypto, especially with the main coins here, is you want to be looking at the ETH Bitcoin chart, or if you're trading Sol, the Sol BTC, which is gaining a little bit of strength, by the way. So I'm looking for some Sol longs pretty soon here. But I saw how powerful this trend was. So not only is the ETH chart looking pretty good, it kind of emulates the chart. But notice how on the ETH BTC, how down we are from all-time highs. Like, we are absolutely in the mud. We're down 80% on the dominance chart. Even from last cycle, like, Jesus, we're down 88%. You get what I'm saying? So I saw how powerful this trend was. So the trend is your friend and the trend is your ally. So the trend will tell you that, like, until this is done doing, you feel me, printing higher highs and then breaking through these lows, every time it does this, theoretically you're moving your stop up as it goes. So boom, every time it makes a high, you're watching that low. Because once this low, like, say like the chart did this and it broke this low and then it came back here, then you kind of know fundamentally that there's a downtrend. There's a higher likely chance that there's a downtrend, about to come in. And that's the thing about trading, is nothing is absolute. You're always thinking in probabilities. This is the way that I trade. When I say that you should, I mean that, like, this is the way that I trade. And the way I trade is I try to think through probabilities. So, which is the most likely chance to happen, Because the moment you tell yourself, I know what's going to happen, it's preposterous, because to know, there's so many unknown variables that you don't know. So you don't know what's going to happen. You just have a you have a hunch that there's a higher probability chance of this happening than this not happening. If that makes sense. So with trading, the way I trade is I don't trade in absolutes like on some Jedi shit, you know. I'm not a Sith, I don't deal in absolutes. I use probabilities to my advantage, and that's my edge. And the edge that I have is, you know, the technical analysis that I use and that I trust, and my strategy that I've been developing. And I'll fledge it out more. So this is another trade I took yesterday, and I didn't get stopped out. I actually got stopped out break even. So I was actually up like $80 here through this 7% move. And I ended up round tripping it. And I've noticed that this is Hyperliquid. If you don't know what Hyperliquid is, this is what I trade when I'm not trading on my funded account. I'm using Hyperliquid as a platform to trade leverage on. You can actually use it here. We'll pull up Axiom real quick. So what you can do is you can access this through Axiom. So if you go to perpetuals on Axiom Pro, my link will be down below. You can trade perpetuals like XRP, Fartcoin, ETH, BTC, Sol, Pump. You feel me? All these coins. And if you're watching this video, I assume that you're already like kind of a verse trader, so you kind of know the general realm and like kind of what's going on. So like when I say things, I'm kind of just assuming that you guys already know in terms of like the coins I'm talking about and the way that I talk about them. I'm no genius. I've only been trading for like almost 2 years now. So I'm kind of just learning as I go. And this is something that I want to document as I go and just document my journey on the way to financial freedom. And yeah, man. So the other trade, so this trade I took, I saw the same thing as like ETH. So one thing I know about hype is like once ETH has this dominance, once ETH shows this strength, hype likes to follow. That's what I've been realizing recently. I saw, boom, big break of structure, I like to call it. So boom, like I said, we're doing boom. We're going through this downtrend. Boom, boom. And then we break that right here. Once we break that, now we know that we're in an uptrend, which can be shown, which can be seen by using this higher low strategy too, if you want to. Makes it easier. So therefore, it's not an absolute indicator. I just kind of use it to help me visualize it. So boom, we've broken through this lower high at this level. Now I'm looking for longs. I'm looking for areas to target. So what I'll always do is I'll find my entry, and then I'll make sure I can't put the stop loss down now. That's gonna do this. So I will set up like this. And I'll make sure my risk to reward ratio, I think I will set up like this. My risk to reward ratio, always above 2. Meaning that if I risk $100 loss here, then I actually want to make at least 200 at a minimum. I had it more set up like that. And this was a trade I also took over here. I saw this big break of structure, and I took this long up. Just half my my take profit. So this was kind of like sort of a lucky trade. But now in terms of other trades, what other trades did I take before I end the video? I took a really good trade on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin had a pretty big dumperoonie. So I'm not sure what all these are, so we're gonna take care of these. Wait, no, this was in June. Here we go. It's over here. This dip. So this dip I took as a long. Let me actually go back in my. So this is my Boys and I channel, and I make calls in here. So this is where I entered. So I entered on this level. So yeah, exactly. So I entered right here. Boom, and I took it all the way up here. Beautiful risk to reward ratio. I think, or no, I took it up to 16K. Just like that. And yeah, I missed this whole move to be fair, but at the same time, it's like you don't need to catch the whole move in order to make profit. I made profit. I was in, I was out. I'm a swing trader, but I don't necessarily need to hold positions for more than I need to. But my thought process here is like we were ranging for a while on Bitcoin. So boom, going through this kind of chop. You know what I'm saying? Boom, 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 boom. Boom, we had a big scary dump. I think Trump said some shit at like a conference or something. People got scared. They sold. I saw that we rebounded pretty nice and we broke this high that we previously put in. And through that, I gained confidence in order to long this once it came back down and bounced. So on the 4 hour, notice how it bounced off. I guess it didn't. So on the daily, I think I looked at it. So notice on the daily how we wicked in the 50% realm. So we broke through this level, but we reclaimed it through this candle. So what I like to say is the bodies of the candle tell the story. The wicks do the damage. So the wick, boom, wick through here, and the candle closed with the wick using this 50% area as support. With that knowledge, we know that it'll have some upside. Now, did I underestimate the upside? Yes. I think we did another all-time high, which sometimes you just don't really expect, right? But what could we have done? Once we're in this trade, guess what? We broke this level. Stop loss down here. It's actually, boom, stop loss down here. Break this level, boom, stop loss down here in this range. You feel me? Like over and over again, and just, you can, boom, stop loss under here as we break this high. And then as it comes down, we're going to be taking profit through all this range. So theoretically, and obviously I didn't follow through with this, so this is why I'm doing these journals. I'm getting better. I'm keeping myself accountable, and I'm showing you all the journey, and that's kind of what this is about. But what I could have did is just held and moved my stop loss to protect my risk. So protecting your risk is so important. Sorry if this is becoming a long video, but like I said, I already warned you all it was. Anyways, if you can't even sit down and watch like a 30-minute video, then your brain's cooked anyway, and you're not gonna make it. So, yeah. So you could be taking profit all through these areas, and then using this to protect your risk. So boom, my stop loss would be like right here. So say I had taken at least even 75% of my bag, boom, it breaks here. That protects me. And guess what? We retrace the whole move after this foundation breaks. You feel me? So it's pretty simple. Like sometimes trading can be very overcomplicated when sometimes it's really just as simple as putting in a long, putting in a short, riding the trend upwards and not using your emotions, having, where we like to take profit to, where I like to normally take profit is at previous highs. So like maybe here, like from this high, I'll take profit, or from this high, or this one, or even like fair value gaps. So if I go on like a smaller time frame, there's probably some, yeah, I guess there wasn't any gaps that, you feel me? But like I said, you kind of just can take profit as you go up without taking your full bag. That's something that I preach and that I've been trying to practice, and practice what I preach. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I was kind of debating whether I wanted to. I don't really want to make calls per se. I am going to start up my Telegram channel where I am going to give my trades, whether you want to track them or enter with me or not. It's, not going to be financial advice. It's more going to be like documenting my journey. I'm going to be doing trades that you guys can, that I'll actually come and recap on the channel. Right now, I'm looking at Hype. I will say, I'm looking at Hyperliquid as another long, just because of the strength that it's showing. So notice how like ETH, notice the bounce back on Hype, already back up. And in a bull market, I know that relative strength is something to not be slept on. So relative to the strength of every other crypto right now, notice how Hype is printing this fucking crazy candle, right? Which tells me that it wants to go higher. So like these engulfing candles, very bullish. Um, I may have just the way I entered and had my trade set up was just a little bit sloppy, I guess. Sometimes you can have the right idea but be set up wrong. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna cut this one short, and you guys have happy trading, happy lives. Um, yeah, peace out, y'all.